Stonedead TV, Mr. Paul Anthony. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you, man?
I'm great. I mean, this festival is it's off the scale, isn't it? I mean, when you've got a festival that's organised by fans, it starts off small, knows what it wants to do, knows what it wants to achieve, and then does it and then some. I mean, you can't say fairer than that, can you?
Because you're hosting this evening, Friday evening, which is great, and it must bring back some memories of back in the day, Donington, because you were there at the beginning, weren't you?
Yeah, I went to pretty much all of them, to be fair. And my favourite has to be, as a punter, in 1984. I mean, obviously everyone talks about it. Still for me, Van Halen were the band of the day. AC/DC or AC/DC, but Van Halen. And look at the rest of the bill. I mean, come on, Motley Crue, who I actually missed when I actually got in there because I was stuck in Donington Village. We arrived on site, literally went under the Dunlop Bridge as they were leaving the stage. So gutted about that. But the rest of the day, I mean, Gary Moore, Accept, Y&T, just brilliant. And the weather, I think I've still got the sunburn from that year. So that was my last year as a punter, if you like. But then the following year, I'd already started doing local radio. So I was doing a rock show called Mother Knows Best. And I just said to my boss, can I do an outside broadcast from Monsters of Rock? And he went, how are we going to do that? It's out of our area. And I said, well, technically, can't we kind of put a radio car there and bounce the signal? And so we ended up doing it, cut a long story short. So I've gone from 1 year being a punter in the crowd to doing my show live from backstage, doing interviews with all the bands on the bill. It was just from one extreme to the other. Surreal.
It's weird, isn't it? Unbelievable. I mean, what stories do you have from those days? But before I ask that question, actually, Van Halen. Let's just touch on Van Halen. They've just released, again, the footage from that show.
Yeah, incredible.
Which they reckon was hidden for many years, but it's out again now. It's on YouTube.
Yeah.
Catch it while it's still there.
Yeah, well, we posted on our website and on our socials, and we said literally then, this may be taken down, watch it while you can. Because you know what these big organisations are like. It's like, no, we can't do that because somebody's not getting this and this, so they don't do it. But yeah, I watched it the other night, and it's just superb. When you look at how primitive festivals, bands, stage sets, apart from obviously the big drum kit, I mean, it was pretty primitive in those days, but it was still just an incredible day.
Yeah, it looks raw.
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
it?
Yeah,
it's just, and the one thing that amazes me is all the crap all over the stage. Do you know?
Yeah.
Because you knew if you weren't that good,
yeah,
Death Note, something was coming up on that stage, probably filled with bodily fluids.
Well, the following year, 86, again doing live from backstage, Ozzy was headlining. It was in his white sequin dressing gown days, you know what it was like with the throne and everything. So we did the show. I finished, I think, 15 minutes after Ozzy had started. And because we had laminates, we could go anywhere we liked, apart from when the headliners come on. They do the lockdown and it's only their people. So me and my then girlfriend said, right, let's just try and blag it. So we're walking up the ramp and obviously pounced on by security. And all of a sudden I heard this voice from the distance, oi, they're my guests. They're fine. Sharon Osbourne. Sharon in her different kind of regalia as she was in those days, you know, pinafore dress, that kind of thing. She let us on the stage, and within minutes of being on stage, the stage manager's going, and my girlfriend's going, what? And I'm going, ears, what? Next minute, pyros the size of dustbins, just going off like World War III. But watching Ozzy, like the Messiah, preaching to the converted from the stage was absolutely fantastic. And that same year, Classic B, and I did all the interviews, tried to arrange one with Bad News because obviously they did the reunion. And because they were filming, they went, no, can't do it. But the day before, I managed to get the interview with three of the guys, Rick Mail including, God rest his soul. And it was fantastic. Sadly, I couldn't use most of it because it was so out there. One of the funniest bits was I did the serious rock journalist bit. I said, look, you know, you guys are making the comeback. I'm the serious rock journalist. So it's like, guys, why the sudden reunion? Rick Mail came back in character. Well, Ozzy Osbourne is pregnant. Nobody knows who the father is. So we've all had to come here for a sperm test. And that was the kind of quality that it went through all the way through. I mean, fantastic. I mean, absolute stars.
I mean, there must be some great stuff in the archives, but as you said earlier on, a lot of the stuff would have been deleted because it was on reel to reel, which got deleted and reused.
Yeah.
So there must be some fantastic stuff that maybe somebody recorded in their bedroom.
Yeah, I mean, with the internet now, certain things have kind of cropped up. I've still got a lot of the reel-to-reel tapes, but what happened, as you said, was we had to recycle because reel-to-reel tape was expensive. Even quarter-inch tape that you did the interviews on, you did the interviews, and then you'd put it in this machine to demagnetize it, to literally wipe the tape, and then do something else on the top of it. So unless you were quite savvy and managed to put stuff onto cassette, then you did lose a lot of stuff. Bear in mind, in those days, when I was doing Mother Knows Best, which then turned into Rock in the UK, it was one of probably half a dozen regional rock shows up and down the country. There was Tommy doing the Friday rock show on Radio 1. That was it for rock. There wasn't really VH1, there wasn't MTV all around at that time. So when you said to a record company, I want to interview the biggest band in the world, they'd pay for you to go down to London, they'd wine and dine you, you'd do the interview, there'd be a lig, there'd be a party. Totally different times then. When record companies had budgets, remember those days?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Sadly.
No.
So Stonedead today, it's your first time here. You've got a vibe already. What do you feel out there already? You've been on the stage, you've looked out.
The vibe is just incredible. I mean, there's a few festivals on this kind of level, if you like, with this kind of audience. And let's be fair, most of this crowd is, I'd say 99.9% my radio audience. We're all in it for the same thing. It doesn't matter. I mean, I always say to people when they say, oh, you've got a great job. And I say, look, what I do isn't a job. My job is a joy. All I do that's different to everybody in this audience is I play music for 4 hours a day and talk shit in between. That's the only difference. I'm a fan the same as everybody else. And when you start chatting to people out there and straight away they say, oh, such and such a gig. And I was there. Bingley Hall, Stafford, 1970. And you're on the same page. And that is what I like about a festival like this. As I said before, arranged by fans, for fans, and people are just loving it already. The vibe, I've just walked around and welcomed in the cyclists who've been doing the charity ride, and just the vibe, the gates aren't even open yet, but the vibe out there is just like, you're looking at the clouds and thinking, is it going to rain? But you know what, even if it does, nobody's going to bother.
Who cares?
Exactly.
Who cares? You've got skin, you've got coats.
Exactly.
You'll be fine. I was following people in at 9 o'clock this morning. Gates didn't open until 2. That's how dedicated people are.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Really is.
Oh man, well thanks so much for your time.
You're very welcome.
Have a great day today.
You too, man. Take care. Good to see you.
Mr. Paul Anthony, thank you.